Okay, new bike drop today. This is Lauf's new Seigla, and you can think of it as an evolution of their excellent True Grit gravel bike. It's fast, it can take big tyres, and of course, you get Lauf's unique suspension fork up front. We've put some miles into this bike already on its home turf. Lauf is from Iceland, and it says Seigla is Icelandic for True Grit, which Google kind of agrees with. Anyway, we've had a couple of days bashing the Icelandic gravel, and when I say we, sadly, I don't mean me. More on that later. But let's have a look at some features of the bike. Like the True Grit, the Seigla has a race focus, so you don't get fork mounts for big loads or mudguard mounts for keeping you dry, but you do get short chainstays for a nimble feel and the space to fit some pretty big tyres. You can squeeze a 57mm tyre in here if you're running 700c wheels.
And on a 29er rim, there's space for 2.25-inch tyres. One day, we'll be able to use the same measurement for both.
Roll on that day. To achieve this clearance, Lauf has had to innovate a bit. So the drive side chainstay is a solid carbon plate, just 6mm thick to gain some extra space. And Lauf has switched to a wider bottom bracket shell too, the 73mm that's mostly used on mountain bikes instead of the 68mm road bike standard. More space has been clawed back by ditching the front neck mount. This bike is one by only, which Lauf says is pretty much how all of their bikes get built up anyway. We've seen a big trend in suspension on gravel bikes over the last couple of years, and Lauf have been spearheading that with their leaf sprung grip fork. This bike has the third generation of the fork. It offers around 30mm of undamped travel. The spring here is pretty stiff, and the idea is for the fork to absorb the high frequency road chatter more than cope with big hits like a telescopic fork would. This third generation fork has more clearance, and Lauf has worked on the lateral stiffness too. It's a bit lighter than before as well. One common criticism of the True Grit frame was that with the suspension up front, the rear felt harsh. Now with the Seigla, you can see that Lauf has dropped the seat stays at the back to try and overcome this. The Seigla also gets a standard saddle clamp rather than an integrated one like we've seen on most recent gravel bikes. The reason for this, Lauf says, is that keeping the seat tube as long as possible and avoiding extra material at that junction of the top tube and the seat tube is good for the rear compliance. The seat stays are slim and they're flattened vertically. They're designed to work with the seat tube to add some compliance at the saddle without the need for a pivot. Now, we all like a vertical compliance stat, and this one's impressive. Lauf claims that the saddle movement of the Seigla under load is 3 times what it was on the True Grit. The frame weight is about the same. It's 1,163 grams for a finished medium frame like this one. That's with paint, bottle cage screws and the chainstay protector all fitted. So what's it like to ride? Well, Jamie got the cushy gig of finding out, although it's quite cold in Iceland at this time of the year, as you can see, his feedback has been pretty positive. Now the fairly slack 70.5 degree head tube gives good stability at high speeds, and because the top tube is fairly long, you can fit a relatively short stem here which sharpens up the handling when things get a bit more technical, which as you can see from the footage, they didn't over in Iceland all that much. But we'll be putting the bike through its paces in UK conditions for a full review on the website, so watch out for that. Jamie was riding on these Maxxis Rambler tyres so as not to give the Seigla a comfort advantage by using wider rubber than most gravel bikes can take. But overall, he found the comfort very impressive. The combination of the grit fork and this smoothie handlebar, which also makes use of Lauf's glass fibre knowledge, results in a ride that's noticeably easier on the wrists than many other gravel bikes. Just under 30mm of travel may not sound like much, but you'll be glad of it when you're barreling down a lumpy descent. It just takes the edge off, keeps you fresher. It's similar in effectiveness to the Specialized Future Shock, and in terms of weight penalty, it's about the same. The True Grit fork adds about 415 grams over a rigid fork, which is also a build option if you prefer. Now, not everyone loves a 1x transmission, but for a bike like this, it makes a lot of sense. All the builds Lauf is offering come with a 10-44 cassette at the back and then a 40 or 42 tooth chainring. That gives you a gear below 1-to-1 for winching yourself up the steep stuff off-road, but also a top gear that's big enough not to worry about spinning out on the flat, even on tarmac. You might want a lower bottom gear than that if you're really loading up for a big bike packing trip, but the Seigla isn't really a bike designed for that. You get 3 bottle mounts and a bento box mount on the top tube, but there are no fork mounts or rack mounts here. It's more a bike for small to medium loads. So that's a first look at the Lauf Seigla. Could it be your next gravel bike? Let us know what you think in the comments below. The frame launches today and it will be available in extra small to extra large and in 4 different colours. There's this pink, which is called Moss Campion, and then there's Obsidian Black, glacial white, and sulphur blue. Anything other than black will cost you a bit extra, and pink and blue are only available on the suspension version, and Lauf won't be making as many of those bikes. 2 spec options are going to be available from launch. The Ultimate build gets SRAM Red Axis Explore wireless shifting, and the Race comes spec'd with SRAM Force Axis Explore, so both pretty high end. Those builds get a choice of either a rigid fork or the grit suspension fork, and they also feature E13 XCX carbon wheels and a Physic Alianti R5 saddle and Lauf Smoothie handlebar. So that's all for now. Cheers for watching, and if you want some inspiration for your next off-road adventure, why not check out Finley's recent trip to Rwanda. We'll see you soon.